For more on the La Palma eruption, we're joined by petrologist Matt Pankhurst, who's in the city of Tayuya in La Palma, right at the foot of the volcano. Matt, many thanks for joining us. Thanks for your time. My first question is, how dangerous can the toxic gas be if the lava reaches the sea?
Okay, so once lava begins interacting with seawater, several things can occur. You've got something that's extremely hot interacting with something that is comparatively extremely cold. And what that does is freeze the lava and turns it into a rock, and that can be an explosive process. The fragmentation of the magma can produce explosions, and the gas that can be released, which is essentially the seawater vaporizing, can have harmful effects. It's the chloride effectively in the seawater that can have problems, but with an exclusion zone around, we can manage that situation.
I'm sure it's probably very difficult to say, but this process that we're seeing right now, how long could it actually last?
Previous eruptions on La Palma have lasted between 24 and 84 days. Those are the historic eruptions that have good historic records that we can use to give us some guidance, but it's very difficult to say. At the moment, the volcano has entered a quiet period, particularly in comparison with the previous few days of very intense ash production and explosions. Right now, as you can see, it's very quiet in comparison to the activity that we've observed for the last week or so. At this stage, there are two main scenarios. One is that this is it, there will be no more eruptions. However, the other, just as plausible scenario is that this is simply a resting phase. Colleagues of ours at Mount Etna can advise that this is normal behavior for volcanoes of similar type, and so we can't say that the eruption has stopped.
Obviously, some residents have had to leave the island, at least temporarily, but more long-term, is this going to make La Palma uninhabitable?
That's not what can be expected to happen. The Canary Islands erupt every now and again, the last eruption being 50 years ago. And these eruptions tend to be very localized areas. What we're seeing, obviously, is catastrophe on a local scale, but this is not an island-wide catastrophe in terms of direct hazards or changes to landscape.
Matt, many thanks for your time and your perspective. Thank you very much.
No problem.